Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, and you're watching News on 2. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Our first story. Well, 17 Malaysian survivors of the Lombok earthquake in Indonesia on Sunday arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport 2 at 3:15 p.m. yesterday. And they arrived on an Air Asia flight and were greeted by Foreign Ministry Deputy Secretary General for Bilateral Relations, Raja Nur Shirwan Zainal Abidin.
11 out of 17 victims came out of the KLIA-2 arrival hall at about 4:15 p.m. and were welcomed by family members and close friends, while 6 others will continue to travel to Johor Bahru. The 17 victims were among 22 Malaysians trapped in a landslide at the Tiu Kelep Falls Senaru Baru, North Lombok in Indonesia. One of the victims, Chong Kim Leong, when interviewed, shared his experience during the incident.
Dia telefon saya, dia minta helikopter rescue. Lepas tu dia punya line pun tak jelas. Terus saya telefon kita punya duta lah, duta in Jakarta, ask for help. So at the end dia ada rescue team. Rescue team dia ada masuk hutan, ada tolong, ada bawa dia orang keluar.
Meanwhile, 4 Malaysian citizens who were injured in the incident are reportedly stable and still being treated at the Mataram District General Hospital. Details about the date to bring them back to Malaysia have not yet been confirmed.
Well, meanwhile, the remains of the 2 Malaysians who died during the landslide in Lombok arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport's cargo complex at 5:19 p.m. yesterday. Now, the bodies of Datin Tai Si Kim, Sinchu Daily's Deputy Executive Editor-in-Chief, and Lim Sai Wah, both 56, were flown from Jakarta on Garuda flight GA816.
Also present to pay his last respects was Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook.
Saya bagi pihak kerajaan mengucapkan taksiah kepada semua keluarga mangsa dan juga merakamkan penghargaan kepada semua pihak yang membantu untuk membawa jenazah mangsa kembali ke tanah air, khususnya pegawai-pegawai kita di Wisma Putra.
It is believed that Datin Tai was accompanied by her 20-year-old son to Indonesia, who is reported to have suffered injuries and received treatment at a hospital in the island. Lim Sai Wah, meanwhile, was at the resort with her 62-year-old husband, Tan Ching Chuan, who suffered minor injuries. It is learned that Datin Tai's body was taken to the Nirvana Memorial Park in Sungai Besi, Kuala Lumpur, while Lim's remains were conveyed to Jemantah, Segamat, Johor.
On to other news items. The 1.5-kilometer stretch of Sungai Kim Kim in Pasir Gudang, Johor Bahru, which was contaminated following the camping and dumping of toxic chemical waste, has been declared free of contamination. Now, the area will, however, continue to be monitored for 15 days to ensure that the air quality remains safe.
Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister Yeo Bee Yin said this is to provide a better understanding for the people regarding the air quality at Sungai Kim Kim.
Beberapa hari pemantauan selepas 17 Mac di mana kerja pembersihan telah habis, micro cleaning juga habis micro cleaning selepas pembersihan kita pun buat. Selepas itu pemantauan telah dibuat berterusan selama 2 hari sudah. So hari ini kita sangat yakin bahawa kualiti udara di tempat pembuangan di mana dia adalah yang paling serius adalah selamat.
Speaking in Pasir Gudang yesterday, Yeo said 900 metric tons of contaminated soil and 1,500 tons of water were cleaned up and will be disposed of. The cleaning up works at Sungai Kim Kim, which began since 13th March, is expected to be completed on 21st March. Following that, a detailed report on the operation will be announced in a press conference soon. The pollution of toxic waste that has lasted since 7th March affected more than 4,000 residents and forced 111 schools to be shut down. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dato Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the ministry will undertake a cohort study on victims of the Sungai Kim Kim chemical waste pollution in Pasir Gudang for long-term research and monitoring purposes. He said it would be conducted as soon as possible by taking into account aspects of the methodology, protocol and financial provisions. He added that this is important for future medical references if the same incident happens again in other areas.
Satu kajian cohort kumpulan ini untuk a longer term for our facilities to take the opportunity to do clinical research untuk kita pantau dan untuk kita do a longer term observation dan monitoring of their health, dan ini kita bersedia untuk lakukan. Dan satu yang kalaulah juga ada permintaan, memang kita boleh lakukan sebab research seperti ini bukan senang untuk kita lakukan.
Well, meanwhile, Johor police have arrested 2 new suspects to facilitate investigation into the dumping of the chemical waste in Sungai Kim Kim, bringing the total arrested to 11 so far. Now, State Police Chief Muhammad Khalil Kadir Muhammad, however, said both suspects are remanded for 7 days until 25th March.
Muhammad Khalil said a male suspect was released on police bail as he was not connected to the case. He added that all the suspects arrested were aged between 27 and 41.
Dan dalam masa terdekat kita akan angkat kepada pihak pendakwa raya untuk tindakan seterusnya.
Muhammad Khalil said this after a disaster management committee meeting at Menara Aqabah in Pasir Gudang, Johor last night. And both the suspects who were believed to have been arrested around Pasir Gudang are believed to have allowed the earlier suspects to transfer the toxic waste for further action. Police also seized a lorry used to transport the toxic waste. The case is being investigated under Section 27B, 284 and 326 of the Penal Code.
Well, following the discovery of chemical waste dumping in several locations, including Tanjung Putri, Pasir Gudang, authorities have found another dump site at Pasir Gudang Highway heading towards Johor Bahru near Sungai Masai. And Johor Menteri Besar, Dato' Osman Sapian, reiterated that serious action will be taken against the culprits involved in the illegal dumping of toxic waste.
In a statement, Dato' Osman said the Johor Environmental Department, DOE, was ordered by Segera to investigate the report. Moreover, security forces and agencies such as the Fire and Rescue Department, JBPM, and the Royal Malaysian Police, PDRM, have been asked to close the affected area. It will be closed until the cleaning, control, and investigative works are completed. Residents are also advised to avoid the area and comply with safety regulations issued. 7 suspicious-looking barrels were found under a bridge of Sungai Sembilang near Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Tanjung Putri Resort, while 10 other barrels were found near Sungai Masai.
Well, Malacca State Housing Local Government and Environment Committee Chairman Dato' Tay Kok Hew said the state government will shut down all the schools in haze-affected areas, especially in Alor Gajah and Bukit Rambai, if the API issued by DOE reaches dangerous levels.
Dato' Tay advised the public, especially schools, to be sensitive to the API and immediately halt outdoor activities to avoid untoward incidents from occurring. The Malacca government, through relevant agencies, will monitor the API readings around the state from time to time before further action is taken.
Semua pihak ambil langkah berjaga-jaga, semua pihak memberi kerjasama yang sebaiknya, keadaan ini akan bertukar menjadi baik. Yang penting semua orang kena ambil langkah mencegah, jangan buat pembaran terbuka. Jika ada kawasan-kawasan pembakaran, sila laporkan dengan segera. Dan pihak bomba memang sentiasa bersedia untuk membuat langkah-langkah yang sewajarnya.
Dato' Tay said this after the second sitting of the 14th session of the Malacca State Legislative Assembly at Sri Negeri Aikaro.
Well, meanwhile, Rompin, Pahang recorded an unhealthy air pollutant index, or API, reading of 190 as of 11 p.m. yesterday. Now, based on reports by the Environmental Department, or DOE, besides Rompin, there are 3 other areas in 2 states in Peninsular Malaysia which have unhealthy API readings. Now, Baru Kuantan in Pahang recorded an API of 159, while Bukit Rambai and Alor Gajah Melaka each recorded an API of 103 and 109. The current decline in air quality is causing airspace in the affected areas to look hazy, especially during the early mornings. And according to the DOE, if API readings exceed 150, schools must take immediate steps to stop all outdoor activities exposing students directly to the unhealthy air. Well, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad yesterday announced that a special court will be set up to deal with corruption cases. And he said this proposed special corruption court is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Plan, or NACP.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said the matter was agreed upon during the special cabinet meeting on anti-corruption, and the initiative aims to expedite the resolution of corruption cases. The initiative includes the restructuring of courts, and studies will be conducted to see if there is a need to add a special corruption court at High Court and Court of Appeal level.
Perbaikan mahkamah khas rasuah ini adalah satu cara yang baru supaya diadakan satu mahkamah khas rasuah, kerana kita perlu menentukan kes-kes rasuah diberi masa dan tekanan oleh mahkamah khusus yang tertumpu semata-mata kepada kes-kes rasuah.
The Premier said this at a press conference after chairing a special cabinet meeting on anti-corruption at the Prime Minister's department in Putrajaya. Since its inception last year, 26 initiatives outlined under NACP and have been brought forth to the special cabinet meeting on anti-corruption and has had a policy decision.
Well, meanwhile, Tun Dr. Mahathir yesterday revealed that the previous government had implemented many land swap deals which were not in accordance with existing regulations. Now, in these land swap deals, armed forces camps were built in certain areas merely to increase the number of military votes in their respective constituencies during the 14th general election.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said the matter had been raised during the special cabinet meeting, during which the Special Investigation Committee on Procurement, Governance and Finance tabled its final report. A statement issued following the meeting said that the study had shown that the camps had been vacated after the election, adding that legal action will be taken against those involved.
Ini adalah satu kesalahan, tetapi kita dapati bahawa banyak tanah yang dilakukan secara land swap, supaya dengan cepatnya kem-kem tahanan ini didirikan, dan ada kes yang mana selepas pilihan raya maka kem-kem ini dikosongkan.
The Royal Malaysian Police PDRM has been ordered to refrain themselves from arresting any individual in the country using the Sedition Act 1948. And Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Dr. Liew Vui Keong, said the government was in the process of reviewing the law with an eye on amending it first or abolishing it entirely.
Pada dasarnya, Tuan Yang Pertua, kerajaan sememangnya dalam proses untuk tinjau dan juga mempertimbangkan akta hasutan ini dan dengan tujuan untuk memasukkan. Dengan dasar ini, kerajaan telah pun memutuskan bahawa sekiranya terdapat siapa saja yang telah pun terikat ataupun fall under di akta kehasutan, mana kerajaan telah pun mengeluarkan arahan kepada pihak polis untuk tidak menggunakan akta itu terhadap mereka yang terlibat.
Dr. Liew said this as response to a question posed by Lembah Pantai Assemblyman Fahmi Fadzil, who asked about the progress of the pledge abolition and whether police would refrain from applying the law until then. Well, 7 large-scale projects in Kedah have been approved by the federal government with a total allocation of over 3.2 billion ringgit. Economic Affairs Minister Dato Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali said the allocation covers the construction of the Kulim KXP International Airport and the North Corridor Highway, which will connect Bandar Baharu Sungai Petani to Bandar Baharu to the Sultan Abdul Halim Bridge, Muazzam Shah in Pulau Pinang.
Dato Sri Muhammad Azmin said the government has also approved the construction of the Petrochemical Industrial Park in Gurun and the Digital Library in Alostar.
Projek-projek ini pastinya akan menarik lebih banyak pelabur-pelabur asing dan pelabur domestik ke negeri Kedah. hasrat dan aspirasi Datuk Seri Mukris adalah supaya anak-anak Kedah, golongan anak-anak muda di Kedah, golongan wanita di Kedah, dan golongan usahawan di Kedah tidak lagi berhijrah ke negeri-negeri yang lain, tetapi kekal di dalam negeri Kedah. Dengan syarat kita mampu membawa pelabur-pelabur ini datang ke negeri Kedah.
Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said at an event with state and federal government officials and staff at Dewan Sri Negeri Alor. Datuk Seri Azmin also announced that 5,482 households under the hardcore poor category will be provided with Kedas Darul Aman charity card to buy essential items in the supermarket at a cost of 30 million ringgit per year, which will be borne by the state government.
Well, Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the ministry is planning to implement the Electronic Medical Record or EMR system in 144 hospitals nationwide over the next 3 years. Well, he said EMR will help facilitate the transfer of sharing of patient information digitally.
Dalam 3 tahun kita akan buat an actionable plan, ya, dan akan kita lakukan kalau dapat lebih awal lebih baik. Tergantung kepada keuangan dan kita harap perkaranya akan dapat. Saya sudah ada anggaran kos, mungkin saya tidak perlu sebutkan sekarang ni.
Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli said this in his keynote address Malaysia's healthcare revolution at the ASEAN Healthcare Transformation Summit 2019 yesterday. To date, only several hospitals are using the system, including Selayang Hospital and Ampang Hospital, but it is not yet fully operational.
Well, the one-off payment of 500 ringgit to 75,352 qualified pensioners will be disbursed beginning today. The Public Service Department, PSD, in a statement said the payout to pensioners who receive pensions of less than 1,000 ringgit was in line with what had been tabled in the 2019 budget. Well, it added a thorough vetting process had been done through various agencies, including with the Inland Revenue Board, the Employees Provident Fund or EPF, the National Accounting Department, State Treasuries, Social Security Organisation, Road Transport Department and Companies Commission of Malaysia or SSM. Now, the payment is expected to comfort and fulfill the needs of the government pensioners. Well, an app called Price Catcher was newly released on iOS and Android platforms, which compiles information on the prices of over 400 essential consumer goods. Now, the app is updated with the latest functions to help consumers plan their purchases.
Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the price information in the application were compiled by over 1,000 price monitoring officers of the ministry, and it is updated on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. He said using the app, consumers can save time and costs by comparing prices of goods offered by other outlets within a location.
Bila dia boleh membuat pilihan, sebab price catcher ni memberi maklumat barangan yang sama yang menjual pada harga yang berbeza.
Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution told a media conference after launching the application at his ministry in Putrajaya yesterday. The latest functions developed in the app include price search information sharing facility via social media and announcements on the change in petrol prices or other information. Moreover, he said consumers, including friends of KPD and HEP, should also share prices, which could also benefit other consumers, such as promotion prices, while traders were encouraged to use the Price Catcher platform to announce promotions.
Well, looks like the Ride Up Genting Highlands is back on the menu after missing for 4 editions of Asia's biggest cycling event, the Le Tour de Langkawi 2019 or LTDL 2019 from 6th to 13th April. An event organizer, Human Voyage Chief Executive Officer Dr. Ahmad Mustafa said the 115-kilometer Shah Alam Genting Highlands Stage 4 race would replace the Cameron Highlands route and could well decide the outcome of the King of the Mountains and overall titles.
Speaking to reporters after attending the LTDL 2019 Organising Committee meeting at Menara KBS in Putrajaya, Dato' Ahmad Mustafa, however, did not reveal the full details of the 8-stage race.
Genting has always been an icon, and so kita pun alhamdulillah lah dan Genting setuju dengan memberi kita laluan naik ke Genting. Dan I think to the riders is always a special climb lah Genting kan. So and then kita punya fan base pun banyak suka naik Genting. They always want memang dia orang nak tengok riders ni naik Genting. And support dekat Genting ni has always been huge lah. Dulu kita buat kan. So insyaAllah we have a good race up to Genting lah insyaAllah.
Dr. Ahmad Mustafa, who confirmed that 2 professional outfits would be among the 22 teams competing in the LTDL 2019, said Youth and Sports Minister Syed Abdul Rahman would launch the race on Thursday.
And that concludes this afternoon's edition of News on 2. Now, top story, Sungai Kim Kim declared free of pollutions. Join us again at 7 p.m. for more updates on the latest happenings here and around the world. Thanks for joining us. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos, and do stay tuned to TV2.